yeah, send me this recording too when you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. All right. We got Kim, Carrie, Stacy, Lynn, Andrew. I'm going to put on my glasses. May, Anna, Farah, Teresa, Daniel.
Yes, we got a great group here today so far, and I know we'll have, excuse me, several more joining us here in a few minutes. But in the meantime, I'm going to kick things off with just a few housekeeping items we want to take care of, and then I'll turn it over to Peter to get into our content today. But we're so glad that you've all joined us for our webinar today on social media, how to get the most out of it, and how to use Meta Business Manager. I know we all want to know more about that. So just briefly, before we get into that, I'm Hannah Curtis. I'm with the North Metro Small Business Development Center. And for anyone who's not familiar with the SBDC, we offer free one-on-one consulting services, as well as educational programming like this webinar and like some of our online courses. So I'll put some links into the chat later on if you are looking to schedule appointments with Peter or any of our other SBDC consultants. It's a really great resource to just get some guidance on your business, and it's free. So what could be better? Just a few things. We are recording this session, so you will have access to the recording as well as the slide decks. I'll send that in a follow-up email probably tomorrow once the video has finished processing. And you can always access all of our previous sessions in the video library on our website, and I'll put a link to that as well. But our website is just northmetrosbdc.com. We have a video library where you can catch all that content if you have missed any of our sessions. And we also want this to be interactive, so please feel free to put questions into the chat and we will try to get to those. And I think those are most of the things that I wanted to touch on. Oh, I do want to give a big thank you and shout out to our sponsors for today's session. We are partnered with the City of Brighton Economic Development Corporation, and they have a ton of great resources as well. I'll put a link to their website. They are here to support any businesses that are in Brighton specifically. And for those of you who aren't in Brighton, you also, whatever city you are in, you also have an economic development department that wants to support you as well. So if you need any connections to those departments, let me know and I can help you get connected because we have some really great partners. So with that, I will turn it over to, I guess I'll introduce Peter. Peter is our presenter for today. He's one of our marketing specialists with the SBDC, and he's been with us for years. He's the CEO of Digital Marketing Dude, and just a wealth of information. So we're really excited to hear what Peter has for us today.
Some might call me a kook, keeper of useless knowledge.
There you go.
I can be nerdy. I got nerdy glasses, so unfortunately I'm getting old. So sometimes to read all this stuff, I got to put these on. So, and Hannah's like, whatever. I've wearing glasses my whole life, so shut up.
It's true.
All right. Thanks, Hannah. Thanks everybody for being here. So if you're here live, or you're catching this recording later, send us your questions. So if you're here today and you have questions at any point, if I say something that doesn't make sense or I do something, you're like, wait, what'd you do? Can you show me that again? Then let's pause and we'll answer those questions as we go. So here's how I want to break down today for you. We're going to talk a little bit of basics in terms of strategy, marketing strategy, and some ideas around content and around social media in general, and just some key principles and key things to be aware of. So this is just part of kind of a lot of the fundamental stuff that that I like to share with folks. Then we're going to get into a presentation that was put together just for today around the Meta Business Suite. We're going to look at about 13, I think I have 13 specific areas to highlight from the Meta Business Manager. I can't remember what to call it. It was Meta Business Suite. Now it's Meta Business Manager. So we'll we'll look at that and just briefly kind of touch on those key areas through that presentation. But then we're going to jump into an actual live demo and show you a couple of things that are in there. We've got some client information inside of there that we can show you, so you can kind of get a good idea how to navigate it and how to get around in there. So if that sounds good to you guys, and nobody's talking, so I'm sure it must sound great, right? It sounds great. Okay.
Sounds awesome.
Oh, I got, yeah, a couple thumbs up. All right. There's a few people not taking a nap. All right. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Let me get on the right screen. Got that. All right. So the first thing we got to talk about real briefly is strategy. And when you're doing any kind of marketing, and in particular social media marketing, you definitely have to take a minute and go, all right, what am I doing here? And what is my strategy? What is the whys, the what's behind this, before I start doing the hows and doing the tactics? So this is kind of the 4P process that we follow and teach. The first is the people. So what's your target market? Who are the people you're going after? Are they on the platforms you want to be on? How are they engaging on there? What's their age? Where do they live? What's their incomes? I have a misspelled word. There we go, fixed it. What are their concerns? What keeps them up at night? Like having a better understanding of that. And we mentioned it here, it's going to be important later, is audiences, thinking about a group of people in an audience for your product or your service that you have. The second thing to look at and think about, all right, what is the actual problem that you solve? So really considering that and putting together in words the description of that problem. So do your prospects, when they come across your content, immediately know that, oh yes, I have that problem that they solve. Like that problem is my problem. Can they identify that in your messaging and what you have? So what's the problem you solve? Why should it be solved? What happens if you don't solve it now? So be thinking about that. And then the process. So this is where the magic happens. This is where you show yourself as your business, your product, your service. This is how you solve the problem for them. This is the 3 steps to fixing their problem, or 5 steps, or whatever it is, or buy this one product and it fixes this problem. So your process or your product has what's unique about that? What stands out about that compared to your competition? And why should I do business with you right now versus not doing business now or picking a competitor? And so your process is where that uniqueness will stand out, and being able to express that and have that as part of your basis of your strategy and where you're going. We get in the 4th P, passion, personality. These are just kind of different ways that you might go about it. You know, is it a value-based or, you know, big why kind of based idea? What are the stories behind the problems that you solve, and how you solve them? You know, are you focused on celebrity kind of a view? You know, are you Jake Jabs to your marketplace, or Dylan Doug to your particular marketplace? Not that you have to be, it's not a requirement, but just some different ways to go about it. So you'll get a copy of this. We've got a lot of questions to ask so that you can really think about that as part of it. So the next piece I want to talk about, and I'll mention this coming into content. There's some information here that can help you with your website, so you guys can look at that later. But when we look at content and we think about your website, we think about your strategy, and we're thinking about social media. And I'll mention it here. So we have to think about the things that you own versus the things that you rent. So when it comes to your marketing assets, there are certain things that you have ownership of, meaning you have complete control of. And the first of those is your messaging and your branding. So you can build your strategy and you can then build your messaging and your branding from your strategy. This goes all the way to your logo and your colors and how you're going to present information, the text, a tagline, your mission, your vision, your values. All those things are part of what you own. You have complete control of that. So if it's not working, you can change it, you can fix it, you can work on it. So that content then, lives in different places. It might live in a brochure. It lives on your website. Again, in most cases, unless you're a franchise or something like that, you own your website. You have control of that. You can change the content. You can change the pictures. You can improve the messaging on your website. So what I'm looking at, I have so much money to spend on marketing and advertising. Where are the places that I put that? Like, what should be the priorities? So your branding, messaging are high priorities. Your website, because again, you own that. And ultimately, you own all your content. So all of your content. If you're making videos, you're making graphics, you're creating text messages, you're creating advertisements, whatever those are, again, you own those, you have control of that. You can make those better anytime, all the time. And then the last thing that you really own is that database, right? Your contacts, your prospects, your customers that have bought from you before. You own that, you have control of that. When it comes to social media, we're operating in rented space. We can be on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, as long as they keep allowing us to be there. And we have to learn how the system works to be there. But if something goes wrong, they don't like our content, or for any reason, that could go away. So if we're so focused on social media as being the only channel that we get new customers from, then we could wind up in a situation where we get shut off from that. We don't have other options. So it's just something to remember to think about in this rented space of social media. How am I going to use it, get the most out of it, but continue to move people from the space that I rent to the space that I own. So meaning if I've got followers on Facebook, have I moved them to my database? Have I captured an email? Have I captured a phone number, a text message number that I can message them? Do I have an address where they live? So we want to always be moving people towards the things that we own from the things that we rent, so we can really get the most out of it. So that's my little rant on that particular piece. So a little bit about content. You can see here content that you create, video. All these platforms are optimized for video right now. TikTok is a video only platform if you're going to be using that one. So figure out how to mix in some type and different types of video into the marketing mix. They don't have to be professional. They don't have to be super high quality, but you got to have some video in the mix. You can curate content from other creators, pull that content in. And then the main thing is to have a calendar, have a plan of what you're going to put out, tie it back to your strategy and what you're trying to accomplish, set some goals of what you want to do with your content, and stick with it. So I have a formula called RFP, recency, frequency, proximity. So my example is if I'm going on a first date and we show up for dinner, sitting there, we're having dinner, and at the end of the dinner, I ask the date, you guys can answer this question. Tell me what you think will happen. I ask her at the end of that first date to marry me. What's going to happen? Is she going to say yes? Go
Hopefully
ahead.
not.
I mean, if she does, then I have a different set of problems, right? So, it's not going to happen. Now, while it was recent, right? Here's my formula: recent, frequent, to create proximity. It was recent; it hadn't been frequent. So, but maybe 6 months, 8 months, 12 months down the road, there is frequency and recency that might create some proximity. So when you're thinking about how often do I need to be posting on my socials, you're thinking about what do I need to do to create proximity so that my customer moves closer to me, that they're moving closer to a handshake, moving closer to a hug. Like, how do I move them closer to that experience that helps move them to the next step in the buying process? So is there a perfect magic formula for it? Not necessarily. Again, you have to go back to your strategy and think about who my clients are and my prospects are, and what is it I need to do to create that proximity for them. And then use a lot of different tools, and we'll show you a couple of different things right inside the Meta Business Manager that are pretty awesome in helping you with this content piece that that putting this training together, I discovered a lot of new things that I didn't even know were there. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, there's some really cool things. So, but Canva's a real good application for helping you create content on there as well. So that's my quick rant on content. Let's talk a little bit about social media in general. So this is your delivery system. You've got your strategy, you've got your content figured out. This is our way to deliver this information out to our prospects. So your original content, curated content, figure out a way to create engagement. So have a contest, come up with some creative type of contest that will make people engage with your information. So you have to think about that. If we're just posting a sales message all the time on Facebook, kind of missing the point of social media. We're on social media to be social, not to buy something. So if I'm trying to buy something, I'm going to go to Amazon or I'm going to Google it. But if I'm on Facebook, I'm there because I'm socializing, I'm hanging out. So I need something that's going to get my attention, that's going to make me engage with it, that I'm going to find entertaining. So you have to find ways to do that specific to your audience and how it's going to engage your audience. We talked about calendar around the content, RFP we've already talked about, and a lot of the different sites that you can do that. You want to make sure that all your profiles are complete and updated, that you've done everything on them that needs to be done. You've answered all the questions, you've filled in all the descriptions, you've done everything you can there. You put links back to your website, all that's there. And we're going to be looking at audience development. And again, we'll talk more about that again. You see, I've mentioned that a couple of times already. Building an audience is super important. So tools, these are some other outside tools outside of the Meta Business Manager. Hootsuite is one. That's one that we use. Buffer is another. Agorapulse. and even Canva has some posting capabilities. And again, some cool stuff that we'll show you inside the Meta Business Manager. And again, some questions that you can ask around that that social media.
Hey, Peter, there's a quick question about social media.
Yeah.
The question is, how do you collect follower contact information on your
Mhm.
social media channels, or like, can you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to ask for it. So come up with, in some of your content, if you're creating a contest, maybe the contest requires that they put in a phone number. Um, do you have a discount coupon you can give people? Sure, great. Go to my website, click here, sign up, put your email address in, and I'll send you the coupon code. So we've got to find some other ways to engage with them to have them go, oh, okay, I'm willing to give up this information to you now because you've offered me something else of value, and I'm willing to do that. So that's part of that engagement. That's part of thinking about your content, and identifying, um, your target market. So maybe it's a free trial, maybe it's a free product, maybe it's a free consultation. Come up with some different ways and different ideas that they will want to give up that information to you. So that's got to be a key part of your overall tactics to move them from rented space to the space that you own.
Great, thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right, so that was just some foundational stuff I wanted to make sure I hit on, so we know where we're starting from and where we're starting at. All right, so how to use the Meta Business Suite and the Meta Business Manager. Um, so it was Facebook Business Suite and Facebook Business Manager. So now it's Meta. We're all Meta now. This is the built-in social management tools. So maybe some of you have had some use or at least have seen it a little bit. But it definitely is that centralized place for Facebook business pages and Instagram accounts, where you can manage your marketing on those platforms. So we're going to look at what that looks like. Uh, the Business Manager platform launched in 2014, so it's been around for a little while, and it just kind of helps you combine all these things so that you can manage them. You could add users as a group. You could manage multiple different businesses through it, and do that. Allow you to collaborate with other team members. Maybe you hired a marketing agency to work with you, and you can invite them into that. So that's kind of like a little bit of the nuts and bolts side of it. But the business manager doesn't do everything, where the Meta Business Suite has a whole suite, if you will, of other things that you can do. So let's take a little bit of a look at that at a high level, and we'll go through and do a demo here once we go through this. So this is a little bit what it looks like in the basic interface. Um, Launched in 2020 is the business suite. This is the whole social media management side. This is where you can create your schedules, post your content, analyze the results, do ad campaigns. All of that's going to happen on this side of the platform. And this is what that looks like. So it's a little bit different look that it has to it. And we'll walk you guys through that here in a little bit. I see this question. Does the suite cost extra? It does not. It is absolutely totally free platform. And anybody can sign up for it. All right, so how do you set it up? How do you use it? We'll give you some quick highlights here of that before we jump into the actual platform and do a demo for you. Again, you're going to get this entire presentation so that you can kind of walk through this and see all these steps. So I may go quickly through these, but you're going to get all this so that you can do that. But within the business suite, you can invite people to help you be administrator of any of the things within your platform. You can control the amount of access that they have and what they can do. So you have complete control of that from the platform. So this just walks you through that. Click on people, add people. What are they going to be able to do? What do they have access? So are they just an employee? Are they going to have admin access? Can they look at the financial side of it? Can they, change payment methods? Are they a developer? So depending on their role, you can set that role and set that access for them and allow them what they need in terms of that access. Then you can add, your different properties. So if you only have one Facebook page, that's pretty easy. You can just add that Facebook page and add people to access that. Well, that's what this is. This is to give them access to different things. So do they have access to any pages, ad accounts, catalogs, apps? Pixels is the tracking code used for ad accounts. So what all are they going to have access to? You can control that down in a very detailed way. All right. Then you can add your page to your business suite. We'll show you this here in a little bit where you can add assets. And assets is linking to your Facebook page or your Instagram account or a WhatsApp account and do that. So, and it's good just to remember, Facebook, rather Meta owns Facebook, Meta owns Instagram, Meta owns WhatsApp. So these are all within their atmosphere of what they own and manage. The one thing with WhatsApp, and I haven't used it that much, but here in the United States, for whatever reason, we have this war, if you will, between Apple messaging, iMessage, and what's called RCS, which is what Android uses for their messaging. The two don't really play well together. So I have an Android, and so all my friends, I have a lot of friends that have iPhones, and I'm the one with the reply, or someone likes my text, and they get the green bubbles. I think it's green bubbles of all the Android users. So like someone likes something and then it sends an extra text message out because I'm the one Android user in the group. And it's because of my phone that it does it. So I feel immense social pressure to be an iPhone user, but it's because of iMessage. And so the new CEO, or whoever the current CEO of Apple is, I can't remember his name, but I don't know if someone asked him or if he just decided to say this when they just released iPhone 14. They're like, so are you going to extend that capability, iMessage capability, to Android? And he said, no, I'm not. If you want to have iMessage, buy an iPhone. So we have these competing messaging platforms that don't really work well together. Well, in the rest of the world, this is not an issue because everybody else in the rest of the world pretty much uses WhatsApp or some other messaging platform for all their text messaging, because that used to be an extra charge that companies would charge them in order to do text messaging. You'd have to pay extra. So people just started using apps to do that everywhere else. So WhatsApp is something really to start thinking about and be able to have that text message option, and a great way to capture that text number right off your socials using something like WhatsApp. So what can you do? You want to either create a new page, get access to the existing page, share a page with an agency or whatever. You can do all that within here. Same thing with Instagram. You can add your Instagram accounts. You have to claim it. Sometimes funky things happen with Instagram. It's kind of a funky connection, but you can definitely do it. And then, of course, you can link a WhatsApp account to the business suite. I really haven't done this, but I think it's a really great idea, like really to figure this out because we're so text message based to be able to add that component to, um, again, moving people from that rented space to the space that you own, and setting up a WhatsApp account just for your marketing through this platform, I think is an important idea. You can manage your ads account. So if your ads account's kind of been in, it's a separate, part of this, it's not been part of this, then you want to add that account here. You just got to look up the account ID so that you can add that. And then again, you can do the same thing where, you want to control the type of access that people have, and do that. Assign roles and permissions. Again, a little bit what we looked at already, but you can decide, who has access to what they can do. Can they publish? Can they not publish? Can they send messages? Are they only doing ads? You can really control what other users inside of your account have access to. So that's really what that's showing you. All right. List services. So there's a whole section in here. If you have multiple services in your business, that you can list those services, and you can add photos, have the name, a description, is there a price or an estimated price, and you can put those in there. So it's just additional content that you're able to leverage in your marketing on the platform. So you see example here of what that looks like once you created that. You can take appointment requests inside the business suite. So you can set this up where you can do online booking for people on your page. Again, here's another great way to move some data into a platform or a system that you can capture additional information from folks. So they have a built-in system, and we'll show you some things inside the business apps. So number 9, configure business apps inside the business suite. There's a lot of different apps, and I'll walk you through some of those different ones. But other scheduling apps, appointments, reservations, some e-commerce options, a lot of really, really great options. And we'll look at those. In particular, Canva. Can't wait to show you that one. I love Canva. Hannah knows that though.
Yeah, it's a great tool. And Peter, real quick, we have some questions that I think are rooted in the difference between a personal profile and a business profile.
Yes.
Like about, do you have to sign up for Meta? Do you have to friend your followers, things like that? Could you just touch on that difference a little bit?
Yeah. Well, this is really part of this whole suite of packages, is to help you segment that out. So you need a personal profile to log into Facebook. You have to have that. This whole system here doesn't have a separate login for you to access it. So you access through your personal profile, but, and I'll show you in a minute, it has you operating as the business. So when you're working with your page or your Instagram account, you're operating as the business, not as your individual person. So you're not, when you're using your Facebook page, you're not friending people, right? You are having people follow you. People are following your page. So they hit that like button, they choose to follow, and they're going to follow you. They never have to ever see your personal profile inside of that environment. So this is giving you access to tools to be able to manage it that way and keep your whole personal profile completely separate from what you're doing on the business side and your Facebook page side. So a Facebook page is a business page. So you got to log in through your personal profile, and then you can access the page. And once you're on the page, you're operating as the page. You're no longer operating as your personal profile. So it definitely has it functioning in a separate way. So you can keep those separate.
Great, thank you. And I do think that'll become clear, as you said, in the demonstration. I think they do a great job of showing you who you're operating as so that you don't get confused there. Another quick question, are there benefits of using Meta Business Manager and the suite instead of other scheduling platforms like Hootsuite?
Well, so and I'll show you once we get in there. There's some really awesome features inside of it. And if your primary marketing that you're doing is Facebook and Instagram, and that's kind of where you're dialed in, then you really don't need anything else. Like that will take care of it for you. So um, I think it's good if you can to work natively in that environment. And it's become a pretty awesome tool. So I think there are benefits to at least spending some time doing that to kind of see what that difference is going to be. So I still heavily use Hootsuite a lot, for posting a lot of content. But once we get in here and look at this, again, if you are heavily using Facebook, Instagram primarily as your marketing platforms, you have absolutely everything you need to do that within the platform, and you don't need to pay for a Hootsuite or anything else. So
Great. Excuse me. Thank you. One more quick question. Is there a way to get lists of who follows your business page?
not really.
Okay.
You can look at a list and you can see to a degree who's following you. So you could go look their profiles, but you're not going to get, like an email address or, a phone number from that necessarily, unless that happens to be public information on their pages. So again, our goal here is to engage them and to get them to give us that information so that they are volunteering to be marketed to. What we don't want to do is just grab lists and just start blasting a list. So we want to work them over, get them used to our content, used to our brand, so that they are voluntarily going, yes, here's my phone number. Yes, here's my email address. Yes, here's my address. I want your stuff. And moving them to that so that they're going to be more likely to become customers if they're the ones making that choice versus just blasting them with information.
For sure. Great. Well, thank you for answering those questions. Those were great
Yep.
questions that you all had. So
Good
keep them
ones.
coming and we'll get to more of them at a later break as those come up.
Great questions. All right. You've got a file manager in your creative asset access, and I'll show you this. You can keep all of this, all of your creative content within the platform. So when you go to schedule a post and all that, it's right there, and you can grab it and use it within that. So, and then you can, in the file manager. So this is right directly within the file manager. You can create a new post, create a story, right from that content as it's sitting there. So super convenient, super easy to use there. You can also share folders with your team. You can edit permissions. What do people have access to? So again, a lot of control on whether it's you or others. Got the whole calendar. So we talked about having a calendar and planning things out. You can do that whole thing on the calendar right within here. So you can create drafts, you can create plans, you can make all your schedule. All of that's done right here inside of the business suite. You can create a post, add text, you can upload images, you can decide which, where it's going, and get a preview of what it's going to look like even. You can even do some split testing. So if you want to, do two different images to see how how people engage with that, or maybe you do a different headline and change the headline, and you can actually split test that, and Facebook will basically push that information out for you and will tell you which one does best. They'll equally share each one out and find out how people engage with it. So it's a good idea. I mean, it's pretty amazing in that you can do this without running an ad. So normally to do the split testing, you know, something you can definitely do inside of your ads environment. Like that's always been a thing to run, you know, multiple ads in a campaign, see which one does best. But to be able to take and do this with just your general content, for, you know, it's not costing you anything to create a post that has a split test running. So you can kind of preview how people engage with that particular content and give you some ideas what you could be doing for your actual ads when you want to run ads for it as well. There's this section on the side called the moments feature. So I really want to show you guys that so you can see what that looks like. It's a lot of content that's already created for you, a lot of video content that you can just grab and use it instantly. Like it's super easy to access, and it's great looking content that's already built into to the platform, and that's the moments feature. So we'll take a look at that. Manage your engagement. So like how do you track all the messages coming in? How do you track all the comments happening? So even inside of platforms like Hootsuite, it can be hard to kind of have a single place where you're engaging with your audience. So directly inside of here, you've got all the communication and engagement in one place. So are you getting messages through Facebook Messenger? Are you getting direct messages on Instagram? People are commenting on your content. You can come into this one place and see all of that and interact with all of that, engage with it, all in one place. So this would definitely be an advantage over a lot of the platforms that don't necessarily manage that quite as well as even this. So some of the platforms do have kind of that inbox kind of thing working with them, which is important, but this is all right there for you to use right inside the platform. And then of course we got to measure. We got to see how things are going. We can look at analytics and get an idea of what's happening, what are people engaging with, how many people are seeing the content, and you know, what content's really been valuable to our audience. And you can set goals for it. So that's kind of the big high level in terms of the presentation. So wanted to give you something as a framework to work with to do that. So who wants to look at it? All right, Hannah does. All right, she's the only one I could see, but. So Kim does. All right, I'll show you, Kim. But just you and Hannah, that's it, no one else. Oh, Lynn said me too. Okay, good. All right, I'm gonna move that over there. So here's the business suite. So basically you go to business.facebook.com. Now I've already got this one. This is one of our clients. They're already set up. So I'm not going to go through that whole setup process, but you can go to settings and begin to, you know, add all your different things, add people, add your pages, all of that there. A good thing to do from right here is to be able to click on all tools. So if I click on all tools, then I can see everything that's available to me and everything that I can access. So, and they got it nicely organized. by the engagement side of it. So this is your inbox. This is where you create content, plan content, post the content, everything inside the advertising. So your ads manager and ads, general management. So, paying for your ads, the business apps will look at some of this. Page settings, file manager, additional settings, um, your reports, analyzing, and then if you're selling products and services, so appointments, e-commerce, so forth. So pretty awesome to be able to access everything there. All right, where do we want to go first? So I'm just going to go down this list right here initially, and look at these different areas. So these are notifications. If someone makes a comment, someone sends you a message, you're able to see those notifications there. Here's your inbox. So again, all your different platforms between Facebook Messenger, your Facebook posts, Instagram Direct, Instagram comments, Facebook comments. You can see all of this right here. This is all your messages. So I'm able to reply and engage with that content directly. Instagram Direct, yeah. Facebook comments. So when someone makes a comment, you can reply back to them. That's a bad one. Again, just to kind of show you different options here. So here's someone with such wonderful feedback. So you can reply to them, reply to that. You can send them a message, engage with them. So, I mean, this is engagement is what we're after in interaction. And, we're here to be social. This is social media. So this is just a really awesome place to be able to really do that between Facebook and Instagram. Let's look at posts and stories. So these are all your posts, and you get some data here so you can kind of see the reach, the engagement that's been there, the reaction, how many likes or other kinds of reactions have happened, how many of that comments. You can customize these columns so you can look at the things that you want to look at. So it gives you just a quick view of that. If you're using stories, you'll be able to see stories here as well. This shows you the actual Facebook feed and what that looks like. So you can be able to see that, what that looks like on Instagram. Again, you get a really quick idea between both platforms at the same time on what that content is looking like for you. So these are photos that you have. So if you've got photos stored here, you can have access to those. Mentions and tags. So if someone tags you or mentions you, you're able to see that all right there. All right, let's look at our planner. So the planner is awesome. So we can see past content and we can see future content that's already been scheduled. We can interact with that content if we want to publish that now or change it. We can edit that post. We can reschedule it to a different time. We can move it to our drafts. We can delete it. So you have a lot of options with each of your individual posts. This is that section over here called moments. that I had mentioned to you. So upcoming is International Coffee Day. So that's cool. So what happens here if I click on see templates? Well, it shows me some cool stuff that I could post for International Coffee Day. Who doesn't love coffee? There's a few people, not very many. I'm sure they're not quite humans if they don't love coffee. So I can select this and I can customize it. Yep. So it's connecting me back to Vimeo. And it's connecting Vimeo right inside of the system, right? So I want to change in this text. I can change this text. I can move it around. I can edit it. I can put in our phone number, change our phone number. Thank you, Hannah, for answering that. It's going to create me a preview. We even got music. So I want to go ahead and use this. It's going to pull it over back over to Facebook for me. And then now I can schedule it. So it's even going to tell me what's the best time that I can schedule this with the date. So it's already told me October 1st because it's saying that's, International Coffee Day, 10 a.m. And I can schedule that post to go then. So I can decide here, do I want to put this on both places? I can add other text here if I want. I can add a link. So I can do all these changes and then publish this out. Or should be able to, can I save this as a draft? I want to save it as a draft. Yeah, let's see, let me save it as a draft. I wish I could. Anyway, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's cool content. Only took a few moments to create that. So you could come in here and create your content for an entire month in a matter of a couple hours. So they've got all different kinds of things in here, just like that, that you can choose from and create that content right from inside of the moments right there. You can look at a whole month here to kind of see where things are at, and if you're like, I don't have anything there, so I'll schedule a new post and add your content, and away you go. All right. Let's look at ads real quick. What do you guys think so far? Is this cool? Is this good?
Yeah. When you did the split advertising, is that in the same area where before you move on?
So that was actually, so you can do that in ads, but yeah, that was part of the post. Let me go back to the planner. And let's see here if I can show you that from right here. So I believe so I can add photo, I can use a template. And Call to action, raise money. No, I don't want to raise money. Yeah, call to action. I thought it was right here, but I'm not seeing that.
What's the optimal times button then?
The optimal times will tell you, so it looks at the data like from your Facebook page, and it'll tell
Okay.
you here's the best times for you to post that content.
Okay.
So you could pick any one today, tomorrow. So it's trying to give you some idea to do that. I'll have to go back and look at my own info there. I thought it was right here to do that, the split.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I'm not seeing that, and we're trying to figure out what the best time is. So when you mentioned that, it was like, hey, let's just do that and run it multiple times and let the data tell us. So
yeah, so you could do the same one and just post it at different times, and measure it from there. But definitely within the ads, let's see here. Category, audience. That's placements. If you are doing ads, one thing to note is, you know, it always is going to default to everything, you know, Messenger, Instagram, Facebook. So I prefer to do one thing at a time so that you can measure it separately, you know, from the different platforms. Yeah, so we got to set up pixels. So pixels, well, let's come back over here. So that's ad summary. Here's all ads. So you can see those. So again, high level, but if you want to look at details, you can add it, edit ad, boost again, if you want to look deeper into it.
So how some of the metrics here on, you can set a max budget that it hits, right? Then do we know how many users it's originally going to reach out to, or is there a demographics side? Can we go back to actually creating an ad and see if there's that data? Because I want to find, let's say, here's my address, business address. I want a 10-mile radius around, and I want to target those
Yes.
Facebook users.
Yeah, you absolutely can do. Yeah, you can absolutely set a geographic radius in the ad. Let's just go back to this one. Let's look at. So this is targeting. Yeah, see, this is not the full. Where you really want to get into is, let's go all tools. And you want to get into the ads manager. So when you go to the full ads manager, you have more options when you're creating those ads.
Yeah.
And then, so it'll give you that option to set a geographic area for that. So when you're kind of coming through this, it's like a shortcut to give you a high level view of it. If you really want to do that more detailed targeting, you want to get into the ads manager to do that. These are all more high level type things.
Peter, there's also a question about if you have any control over the comments that will be posted.
Well, no, but you do after the fact, not before the fact. So if you have comments that you don't like, that are, you know, poor comments or harassment or whatever, then you can go in and you can delete those and block the users from accessing your page to do those comments. So yeah, hard to do before the fact, but you can do it definitely afterwards.
Cool, thank you.
So again, this is high level overview. You can see the, you know, what's the time frames, last 30 days. You can change that time frame. You know, what's the reach? How many visits, new likes, new follows. Here's some audience data for you. So this tells you, here's your current audience on your Facebook page, and tells you how many are men, how many are women, what age groups are they coming from. So really valuable information if you're doing that geographic type of marketing. So you can look back here and go, all right, where are they coming from? And be able to see that. Some good data there. You can create special ads reports kind of outside of that. So that'd be more if you're doing something for like a client or something like that. All right, let's look at business apps. Now, before we do that, let's go to File Manager. So here in File Manager, so it just created this here, this folder when I made that video. We're not using that for this client, but you can create folders and add content here and access your media library. So all the content that you create and want to add here, you can do that right inside of this and have all of your content. And then if you got ad accounts and you've got media there.
Yeah, I'm assuming you have to upload all your contents if you want to schedule posts for that, right? It's not like I can link a Google Drive or a Dropbox, right? So
yeah, they don't have that. I haven't seen that option yet where you can, you know, link it to a folder. So, and of course you can just upload that as you go, you know, which is fine.
Well, we want to schedule a month worth. So I just got to remember, upload it, create it, go. Okay.
Yep. So that's, so you've got that whole library and the file manager there. Let's look at the other thing I wanted to look at for sure here was the business apps. So this is pretty dang cool to have access to apps that work inside this environment. So if you want to do a different scheduling app, like Acuity is a pretty popular one, but they got a whole bunch of them. So, you know, there's some in, you know, in the spa and beautician kind of market that are specific to those markets. So if you have accounts with those, you can connect that and set that up right inside of your Facebook page, your Instagram page, and be able to use that to, people can go right from Instagram and schedule, book a, you know, a session with you. For restaurants and other things, if you want to do reservations, pretty much all the big Shopify and e-commerce platforms. Of course, we'll work with Facebook, but there's some other native integrations in here. BigCommerce, another big one. Ecwid's, pretty big one that's pretty good, easy to use in there. And then you've got your creative apps. So I love that Canva is in here. So I can open up my Canva account. So this will connect right back to my Canva account. And, you know, let's say I want this piece of content. I am their #1 fan, for sure. So again, I can come in here, I can edit this, I can do what I want, and then I can upload this directly to my Facebook media library. It's going to say connect Facebook. It's probably going to ask me for code. Yeah, continue. Come on.
So quick question with you then. On the
Yeah.
video uploads, what's the best format to upload to Meta?
MP4.
MP4?
Yep. Yeah. So now it's uploading that directly back into the library. So now I have that available to be able to use later on. So yeah, I mean, so many templates and access. And yes, thank you very much.
There was a comment earlier about how awesome all of this is and that it's going to be hard to find time to learn it all. Do you have any idea or any insight into how often this changes? Like once you learn all this, are you pretty good, or are they like constantly changing it?
Yeah, so I feel like they've got to a place right now where I think they're pretty good with a lot of how this is working. But Facebook's notorious for changing things.
If it's anything like Google and AWS, they change every
Right.
time I open it up. It's almost a new UI. So
Yeah.
you get to learn it
So,
every time.
this has been kind of like this for a little bit for a while now, and they're kind of this general look and feel seems to be where they've settled at the moment, and so hopefully if it does change, it's small enhancements and not things that are make it difficult.
Yeah, and I think one of the like big humps to get over in the beginning is just getting used to the layout and how they approach the setup and everything. So once you have that under your belt, like you're saying, Peter, the changes that could come will hopefully be, ones that you could figure out on the fly. There's another question. When you create video for Facebook, does it also format for Instagram? Or do you have to do that
In
separately?
terms of being a square, so
Mhm.
so it depends on the type, right? So if you're doing a story, then it's the tall version. So the one I just did over here was more for a story. So it's a taller version.
Mhm.
So sometimes what you have to look at is, if I often just do square media, and that fits in all applications, right? It'll fit on Facebook, it'll fit on Instagram.
Mhm.
So again, it depends on what you're doing. You want to design that piece of content for the purpose and for the platform. Um, so, but if it's a square, it'll work on both. If it's more of a story, then you want to post it as a story, not as a regular post. The other thing with lead ads, so if you're doing ads where you're capturing, name, address, phone number, or any kind of information, there's a lot of different tools. So if you have a CRM or email marketing system that you're using, then you should be able to connect that directly to your CRM to be able to do that within that. So let's see here. Um, yeah, I mean, those are kind of the big pieces that I really wanted you to see and show you. Those are the most frequently, used parts of the application that you're probably going to use for that. Other questions?
Excuse me. If you do have questions, you can put those in the chat, or feel free to just come off mute and ask those.
Yeah, Daniel.
To give everyone a, oh, here's one. Where did you access the business apps again?
Okay, so we're going to go to all tools, and then over here under manage is the business apps.
Great, thank you. And to give everyone a minute to think about their questions, I have one, and it may be difficult because it's kind of on the fly, but if you had to pick like your top 3 social media tips, what would you say?
Oh, well, my top 3 tips. So, one, use a video. Like, you gotta use video. And I would say just figure out multiple ways to use video, whether that's video that you made and you post, a video like you created on Canva and post, and doing lives, like actually going live and, um, take something that's a hot topic and go live and talk about it and build your audience. So one, use video. 2, you have to build your audience. So I told you I'd talk about that more, and I haven't really do that. So if you're doing ads, the key piece of ads is building your audience and being able to manage that. Let's get in here.
Here's a random question. Through business apps or anything like that, does Facebook have a built-in survey function, or do you have to use an external?
I didn't see that in the business apps.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just wondered if you knew, because I
Mm.
had to create a Google Forms and
Yeah,
turn it into a
which is
website.
fine.
So,
Yeah, that's totally fine. So your audience, yeah, see, they like to move things around here. Here we go. Audiences was right there. So this is really the key piece of how you can really use the advertising platform. And so, if I have an audience that's the Westminster area that I saved, and so I'm going to target that audience. But
how are these you create an audience, so you created it, and
yep,
then you can, instead of
create a
doing like
custom audience.
right, and you can do by city, obviously.
By city, yep, you can select different demographics. You can do all that. So where you start with is creating a particular type of audience.
Sorry, I wasn't on the window. How did we get here again?
This is in the ads manager.
Okay.
So I'm inside the ads manager now, and then I have access in here to this whole list of menus.
Okay.
Inside the ads manager, and one of those is audiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ad manager audience.
Right?
Okay.
Yep.
Mine keeps popping up, take the tour, so that's why I'm not clicking through it right now.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. So so we start with an audience, we run ads to it, we measure engagement. But the thing that you can start to do is going, all right, let's say I have my Facebook page and the people that like my page. What I can tell Facebook to do is to create a lookalike audience. And And so I can pick a source. I can pick my page and say, all right, let's pick my page, and can add some criteria. And usually 1 to 2% is enough. And you can create multiple different ones. You can do a region. So this one's not working. It doesn't like my source. Let's see if we can find another source. Here's my page. All right, I want to do 2%. Just going to do United States. So I'm going to create this lookalike audience. So now I have an audience of people that look like the people that follow my Facebook page. So it takes Facebook a little bit of while to build that audience and to develop it, because it's looking for people with the same kind of profile as the people that are following my page. So now I can run ads, not just to my page, I can run ads to this lookalike audience. But I can take it the next step further. I can run an ad to people from this lookalike audience. And if they click a link and go to my website, I can have another audience being built for website visitors. So you see over here, I have website visitors. So every time someone visits the website, this audience grows bigger and becomes a more relevant audience that I can run ads to. So you kind of got to build your audience, get more followers, engage them, and then set up an audience of, people that like your page, and then create a lookalike audience and run ads to them and engage them, and then get them to your website. Because now that they've seen your ads and they've clicked the link and visited your website, they're going to be much more likely to be an audience that might buy your product because they're more familiar with who you are. So that's really, building that audience and spending time building the audience before you start running buy my stuff ads and promoting buy my stuff is where you have to start. You've got to build that audience first. And this is dynamic, meaning every time you run ads, every time you do something, Facebook is improving this. It's making it more relevant based on the results that are happening. So this is a really key piece. So 1, make video. 2, build your audiences. And then the third thing is test. Test. Try lots of different things. Pick a budget, whatever your budget's going to be. Run some ads, create different content, find different ways to create content to engage people, and that's where this, and it takes time. This takes work. This is not like easy. This is work. But these are really good tools that can help you get there and get to the point where you can run ads and people buy stuff from you. It's not going to happen on day one. It's a process. It takes time. You got to work. You got to build engagement in that audience. You got to give them value, and then you'll get there.
Peter, this might be a weird question, but could you give an example of one of the tests? Like if you were going to run a test, what would that look like?
Pick something like, I think this picture looks great, and that I want people to I want to get 50 comments on this post. So set a goal and go, I think I can ask a question and put this image, and I think I can get 50 people to comment on it.
Okay, I just needed to know more what what you meant by a test, but I like that. Okay, thanks.
I'm also curious, Peter, what your opinion is on like the ratio of how often your post should be like buy my stuff as the call to action. Sure. Versus, other like lifestyle brand building posts as the call to action.
My general take on that is kind of the 80-20 rule. So basically, it's kind of 5 to 1, right? So 5 general engagement, informational edutainment, to 1, hey, by the way, check out my thing. So early on, what that might look like is five pieces of content and one, can I get your email address? Not buy my stuff, but can I get your email address? Can I get your text message number? Can I get some other information from somebody? And then over time, as you build that audience and you're warming them up, then you can start, more regularly putting in that buy my stuff message.
Got it. Thank you. Well, this has been really helpful, as we've seen in the comments as well. Thank you all for your feedback. Are there any other questions that you all want to ask Peter while we have him now? If not, I did put Peter's scheduling link into the chat there. It'll also be in the follow-up email if you want to do a one-on-one session through the SBDC with Peter or with any of our other SBDC consultants. I also put that link in there. So we want to continue these conversations with you and help you with your business as you move it forward. So we're really thankful, Peter, for all of this information. It was really helpful to do kind of a deep dive and to see it actually at play in action. So thank you for all of your content and preparation.
Yep, no
And
problem.
thank you all for joining us. Sorry, I interrupted someone. Maybe not.
Daniel wants to say something.
No, I just want to say thanks because I
Yeah,
got
you
more
bet.
stuff to play with, and I'll have a list of questions that hopefully Google can answer. But if not, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, no, we'll figure it out.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Great. Yes, well, thank you, everyone. And just one more time, a big thank you to Brighton Economic Development Corporation. They have great resources as well. And all of this information will be coming to you in a follow-up email tomorrow. So keep an eye out for those resources. And we wish you all a great afternoon.
Take care.